Hi, I'm Alice Slater. I'm speaking to you from New York following Pam's incredible story about, and I want to talk about green energy as a path to peace and plenty. Despite promising reports and overwhelming evidence that it's eminently possible to wean ourselves off of polluting and death-delivering energy systems, fossil, nuclear, and industrial biomass, threatening cataclysmic climatic change, the common sensation about the possibilities for a safe, clean energy future has been distorted in the media as the energy corporations peddling their toxic fuels flood the airwaves with false advertising and corrupt our elected leaders with hundreds of millions of dollars spent in lobbying and contributions to buy their twisted votes. Last week, the New York Times amplified the oil industry's factual deceptions, reporting its false estimate of the number of jobs that would be created to mine the filthy tar sands in Canada and pipe in millions of gallons of the dirtiest, most carbon-laden oil clear across America. While thousands of activists created a human ring around the White House this fall, delaying Obama's decision to pay the pipeline, the New York Times put an oil industry report that as many as 20,000 jobs, which they said is disputed, without bothering to report on the contradictory disputed evidence, including a Cornell Labor University study that only 500 to 1,400 temporary construction jobs would be added, as well as a State Department estimate of 5,000 to 6,000 jobs, and a disclaimer to boot, reported on CNN by a vice president of Keystone, the perpetrator of the pipeline, that the 20,000 jobs were temporary and that the project would likely yield only hundreds of permanent positions. Green energy jobs are growing faster than traditional jobs. Pew Foundation found that between 1998 and 2000, the clean energy economy grew at a national rate of 9.1%, while traditional jobs grew by only 3.7%. And a 2011 Brookings report found that the clean economy sector includes 2.7 million jobs, while oil and gas has 2.4 million. Further retarding a green energy transition, industry secures huge subsidies for polluting fuels at much higher levels than funds available to renewables. The International Energy Agency estimates fossil fuel subsidies at $409 billion worldwide in 2010, up from $300 billion in 2009, 6 times more. You would think with the climate change they'd be going down, they're going up. And the IEA figure doesn't include the $50 billion a year we give to the Pentagon to guard the oil tankers flying the oceans with their noxious cargoes. This year, Obama announced an $8.3 billion subsidy for 2 nuclear reactors in Georgia, the first new reactors in America since the 3 Mile Island catastrophe in the 70s, giving short shrift to the greatest industrial tragedy the world has ever experienced, the meltdown of 4 nuclear reactors in Fukushima, Japan. Germany, Sweden, Spain, Italy, and Belgium announced a phase-out of nuclear power, but the U.S. is in the grip of an industry insisting nuclear power because it doesn't emit carbon during its operation. This is more industry deception since there are fossil costs associated with the whole nuclear fuel chain, from mining, milling, and processing the uranium to decommissioning. And I was down at Paducah where they reprocessed the uranium, and they were getting the power for the uranium reprocessing from a coal plant next door. This is more so anyway, I said that. So the Union of Concerned Scientists estimates the nuclear industry received hundreds of billions of dollars over the past 50 years, including liability assurance to cap catastrophic losses, with all additional costs to be borne by us. Every 30 minutes, enough of the sun's energy reaches the Earth's surface to meet global demand for an entire year. Wind can meet global electricity needs 40 times over and meet all the world's energy needs times. Geothermal contains 50,000 times the energy of the world's known oil and gas resources. Tidal wave and small hydropower, too, can provide vast stores of abundant free energy. New research shows that we can shift the global energy paradigm. Scientific and reported a 2009 plan to power 100% of the planet by 2030 with only solar, wind, and water renewables. The authors note that society achieved massive transformation before. During World War II, the U.S. retooled automobile factories to produce 300,000 aircraft, and other countries produced 500,000 more. Their scenario for 2030 contemplates building 3-point windmills, and they assure us that even though that number seems enormous, the world manufactures 73 million cars and light trucks every year. A World Wildlife Fund 2010, 100% renewable energy, a scenario for 100% sustainable energy by 2050, and they took issue with the UN climate change panel that the world could meet 80% of energy that was not enough by 2050. Yet despite these encouraging reports, the corporate-dominated media is still beating the drum for continual reliance on deathly energy systems. It's obvious that those industries will do all they can to block the development of green energy because they will lose their cash forces we must overcome. The eco-philosopher Joanna Macy describes these times as great turning. In shifting the energy paradigm, we would essentially be turning away from the industrial growth society to a life-sustaining civilization, foregoing a failed economic model which measures its performance in terms of ever-increasing corporate profit. In other words, by how fast materials can be extracted from Earth and turned into consumer products, weapons, and waste. Relying on the inexhaustible abundance of the sun, wind, tides, and heat of the Earth will diminish the competitive industrial society that is threatening our planetary survival. By ending our dependence on the old structures, beginning with the compelling urgency to transform the way we meet our energy needs, we may finally be able to put an end to war as well.